Calling to
And
order the
Paul's
Finance
Public
Committee.
Works.
Calling to
Oh,
order the
yeah.
Finance Committee
Yeah,
meeting
he's
for
supposed
August
to be the
4th,
vice chair. Lord, hey,
2015.
He'll just come back with more stuff to preach about.
This meeting is called to order.
I'm sorry, sir.
All right. We'll start off with some acknowledgments from our Mayor, Bob Coburn.
Well, there are actually acknowledgments from all of us.
All right.
Let's join down front. Come on, join us right up here. Bob Elsey was hired in 1999 into the police garage. He worked about 3 years before transferring to the parking attendant position. Bob likes his job, says he likes to meet and talk to people, and it's something new every day. His job is enjoyable, and I get a lot of exercise. Danged if he doesn't. Prior to the city, Bob worked at Meadows in Muskogee, where he bought aluminum and scrap metal and sold steel pieces. When you see Mr. Elsey doing his job, the reason for the nomination is very evident. No matter what the weather or conditions may be, he happily goes about the city doing what he is asked on a daily basis. He always greets you with a smile and proves himself with each encounter to be a great ambassador for not only our employees but for the community as well. And he definitely deserves his recognition he would never expect. And I would say, too, I would totally, absolutely, 100% agree. You meet Bob walking down the sidewalk, and there's a smile, there's a hello, there's just a happy greeting every time you do that. And I really appreciate that about you. We've got a plaque for you that we'll give you after you shake a hand or two, and you're welcome to say something if you'd like as well.
Appreciate the honor. Just been great, a lot of great people I'm working with, and it makes it easy.
Well, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Oh, no, we're good. Bob, here's your plaque. Thank you very much. Great job. Kelly, you got a brand new camera. Just for you.
I brought the last one.
Thank you, sir. We have another recognition, but I don't think they're here yet. So if Betty Davis comes in with Kent at some point. No, they're not in. Okay. We'll just do that later. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
All right. We have item number 1.
Consider approval of Finance Committee minutes of July 21st, 2015.
Any additions, corrections?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and second. Further discussion? Roll call.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Okay, that item passes. Item number 2.
Consider approval of claims for all city departments 7/1/2015 to 7/29/2015.
Gene or someone, do we have a report from the Purchasing Committee?
Well, Purchasing Committee did not meet. We did not have a quorum there, but this should be double the amount of claims. As you recall, last meeting, we only had 2 weeks worth of, so this is for a full month.
All right. Are we going to move forward?
But the list of the claims are in your packet for your review.
Do we have a motion to go ahead and move this
Move for
item forward?
approval.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item passes. Item number 3.
Consider accepting low quote of $24,245 from Goodwin and Goodwin for labor and equipment for the emergency repair of the Meadows Drainage Repair Project, and the low quote of $18,267.28 from Skurlock Industries for the purchase of drainage pipe for the same, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes, where the pipe that drains the pond from the Meadows discharges into the creek. We have a couple of 100 feet of 48-inch storm sewer. Is that on? 48-inch storm sewer pipe. In one of the recent rain events, and actually the rest of the rain events helped to make this problem even worse, but in one of the rain events, that drainage pipe, the way the system is set up, the mouth of it became stopped up, and the pipe could quit flowing water out of the pond, and the pond actually started breaching over the top. When that happened, we went out, secured the walls of the pond, and started investigating on why the pond wasn't draining, and that's when we discovered that there was a problem with the drainage pipe. We went right behind the head wall where it discharges into it, and we dug a hole into the pipe, and we were correct. It wasn't taking any water, but what that allowed the water to do was to go over the top of the head wall and then go into the pipe itself. It went into it with such a volume that it created a pretty good suction and caused the pipe, which was in poor condition anyway, to fail, and it really just collapsed in on itself and caused it to fail. And we've got several hundred feet out there that is caved in between a couple of houses in a storm drain easement. So what Jim Wixom and Prog Mahajan did was they put a project together to get some assistance for us to go out there with a contractor for a labor and equipment only contract to come out and dig up the existing pipe. We are, as you notice, this is a two-part deal. We are actually buying the pipe for $18,267 from Skurlock. So we'll have the pipe delivered. That will be billed to the city the way this is written. And then the $24,245 from Goodwin and Goodwin will be for the excavator and the labor to dig the old pipe out and place the new one in. Then we will go out with city forces and do the finalization of it. This does not replace the pipe under the road. It's the 45 feet that's between the road and the head of the pond, and it's another 170 some feet that goes from the other side of the road down to the drainage creek itself. We did request 4 quotes. These are all under $25,000, so they didn't require sealed bids. And we did get a quote of $24,245 from Goodwin and Goodwin. We also got another one from American Native, and it was $24,800. The other 2 companies did not submit. We recommend approval, and I'll answer any questions.
All right, any questions?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and second. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item 3 passes. Now, item number 4.
Consider accepting low quote of $19,500 from American Native for labor and equipment to repair low-level water crossing on North Country Club Road between Park Place and Shawnee Access Road, and consider accepting the low quote of $9,612 from Skurlock Industries for the purchase of elliptical pipe for the same, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes, I hope you're all aware of where the new come and go is there on Shawnee and Country Club. This drainage that we're talking about crosses just to the north of there. It's right beside the Edward Jones facility, just before you get to Park Place North Street. There are 2 36-inch elliptical pipes that currently cross there, and in some of this recent rain we also had the same type problem that we had out in the Meadows. The pipes did not fail here, but what happened was there was enough debris that got up in front of them. It caused the water to actually go around beside the pipe, undermine the road, and cause the road to actually collapse on the south side. We went in and put some gravel in. We've got it temporarily fixed, but when we were looking at it, we discovered that there's a void all the way under the street, which we have been constantly monitoring until we can get this project resolved. One of the big issues we've got on this project is that it's going to take an actual full closure of the street, and there's not a good detour out there. This is Country Club Road, and to detour Country Club addition traffic, we're going to have to take them back to Harris Road, and one side can come around by the Votech, and the other side can go to Highway 16, whichever direction they're choosing to go. One of the things that we've talked about is that we're going to put message boards up, and we're going to put a lot of notice out before we do this project. We're going to try to give at least a week's notice before we actually shut the road down. We talked about the fact that a contractor could come in and start at 6 o'clock in the morning and work straight through until he got it done, and then we could use the city forces to put the street back. So what this contract was for from Native American was to actually just do a labor and equipment to use their track hoe and their dump trucks to go in and remove the existing structure, put the new elliptical pipe in place, and then they're through, and then it's the city's responsibility to finish the road off. We think this is a very good project. And by the way, on both of these projects, I failed to mention on the previous one, Prague actually put a scope together and emailed it out to these companies so they all had apples to bid on. They all knew what they were getting into. It's a labor and equipment. The city's buying the material. The city's going to supply the closure. We're going to supply the message boards. We're doing everything in our power to cut these prices down, because if we do a full contract replacement, we're talking several $100,000. We feel this is an appropriate way to go. We visited with the manager. He has approved this, and we think it's the best course to take. And I recommend the approval, and I'll answer any questions if I can.
Do you have any idea how long it'll be closed?
We hope that we can have it open within 48 hours. We actually hope sooner.
Oh, well, that's great.
But there is an issue with a transite water line, and I was here at the city when we actually put that in the last time, and those pipes are laying almost on that transite water line. And if I don't know how much about transite water lines you guys know, but they're very brittle, and if you just bump them, they could break. And this is a 12-inch line, so. We've got to be very careful and not disturb that water line. The pipes themselves may be bedded, and they may be actually just set on that pipe, and we may have problems just pulling them off. There's also a high-pressure gas line in there, and there's some electrical stuff in there too. So there's some chance that it could take more than 48 hours. If everything goes smoothly, we'll have it open. Then our intent is to do the street work half at a time. So we'll put it in full gravel. We'll knock that detour down to a 1 lane. So at least some people will be able to get through there, and then we'll try to do it that way. So hopefully it'll be quick. It's our intent.
Put everybody on Harris Road, you kind of hopefully it'll take a long time, huh?
Oh, I don't know.
Any other questions?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Dan Hall?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Derek Reed?
Yes.
Mayor Coburn?
Yes.
All right, item 4 passed. Item number 5, please.
Consider approval of a resolution declaring the parcel of property located on the corner of Harris and Cook Streets as surplus property, and authorize the sale of the property to Ricky McFarland in the amount of $1,010, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Tucker?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, we received an application from Ricky McFarland to purchase a 6,500 square foot parcel of property located at 1119 Harris Street. The zoning for this property is R5, which is mobile home. So based upon that zoning classification and the lot size of 6,500 square feet, that is a full-size buildable lot. As a result, it was posted, and the city did receive 2 bids. However, Mr. McFarland was the high bidder at $1,010, and we recommend approval of a direct sale to Mr. McFarland for this property. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
Move the approval.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Dan Hall?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Derek Reed?
Yes.
Mayor Coburn?
Yes.
Item 5 passed. Item number 6.
Consider approval to retire and surplus the Police Department K-9 Robbie, and allow the current handler, Officer Jason Steele, to take possession of said K-9 or take other necessary action.
Chief?
Mr. Chairman, we have a canine. She's a 9-year-old Dutch Shepherd. She's been with the department 5 to 6 years, and recently her handler noticed some problems with her in her hips, and we had her examined by Dr. Risch. She has severe hip dysplasia. She can't get in and out of her police car. We thought we would have her up here today, but I guess she just is unable to make it up today. But this animal is in such shape that we feel it's in the best interest for her to retire, to have a healthy life, and we want to retire this animal and make sure that she's healthy and happy, and award her to Jason Steele, the handler.
All right.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Dan Hall?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
I guess we'll wish Robbie a happy retirement.
Well, thank you very much.
Item number 7.
Consider approval to enter into an agreement between the City of Muskogee and the Board of Commissioners of Muskogee County for the disbursement of the 2015 Justice Assistant Grant Funds, with the city receiving an allocation of $20,993 and the county receiving an allocation of $10,000 for a total award of $30,993, or take other necessary action.
Chief.
Mr. Chairman, this is a continuation of a grant that we've been receiving for about the last 4 to 5 years. It's from the Justice Department. In fact, we didn't know that we were going to be getting these funds, but it's a continuation of an ongoing grant that they've been able to provide funding for police agencies. We have to share this with the police, with the Sheriff's Department. They're getting about $10,000. We're getting a little over $20,000. We intend to use the $20,000 to upgrade some of our automated systems, and that's what this grant is for.
Any questions?
Move for approval. Second, then.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item 7 passed, and that was our final item, so the Finance Committee is adjourned.
I'd like to call to order Public Works.
August 4th, 2014.
August 4th, 2015. Item number 1.
Consider approval of the Public Works Committee minutes of July 21st, 2015.
I'd like to call to order the,
Do I hear a motion?
oh, sorry, do I have a motion?
I move the approval.
Second.
Roll call.
Roll call. Dang.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 2.
Hold a public hearing and take action on the approval of an ordinance rezoning the property located on Cherokee Street between Kalamazoo and Lexington Avenue, more particularly described in the ordinance, from R5 Mobile Home District to I1 Light Industrial District, and if approved, authorize staff to revise the official zoning map of the city to reflect said change or take other necessary action.
I'd like to open the public hearing. Gary Garvin.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, the applicant, J&J Trucking, is requesting approval to rezone 4 lots from the R5 Mobile Home District to the I1 Light Industrial District. The property is located on Cherokee Street between Kalamazoo and Lexington Avenue. The reason for the rezoning is to allow a trucking operation to be located on the property. It's my understanding J&J Trucking is relocating to this site. Looking at the existing zoning land use within the area, starting with the site itself. Currently, the site is zoned R5, mobile home. There is a vacant building on the property. The majority of the property is just undeveloped. North, which is across Kalamazoo, is zoned C2, general commercial, and there's a vacant commercial building. South, which is across Lexington Street, is zoned R5 mobile home. It's the location of Renfro Electric. East, which is to the rear of the site, is zoned R5 mobile home. There's a vacant commercial building and 2 single-family dwellings. All of those properties abut B Street. And across Cherokee Street to the west is currently zoned I1 Light Industrial. It's the old WP Milling. It's my understanding J&J Trucking has bought part of that property also, so they'll have both sides of the road. The property on this side, though, of course, was not zoned, and they needed to rezone the property. If you look at the land use map, it does indicate industrial along the Union Pacific Railroad corridor. You can see on the land use map where the railroad is, the light purple shows the light industrial classification. So the I1 zone does comply with the land use map and the comprehensive plan. This item's been recommended for approval by staff and Planning Commission. Be glad to answer any questions.
Since no one signed up to speak, move to close the public hearing. Discussion among council.
Move for approval.
Second. Roll call.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 3.
Hold a public hearing to consider approval of an ordinance amending the Muskogee City Code of Ordinances, Chapter 90, zoning regulations, Article 8, residential districts, Article 12, on-site development standards, Article 18, definitions, by amending Section 90-08-04, residential district design standards, Section 90-12-04D, detached garages, Section 90-18-04, definitions, providing for codification, repealer, severability, or take other necessary action.
Open public hearing. Mr. Garvin?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, just to give you a little bit of background, if you'll go back to actually September of 2014, the City of Muskogee City Council adopted the new zoning regulations. Those zoning regulations included some building design standards. Now, back in January 2015, City Council asked that Planning Commission review some of those standards. They want some definitions for some of the building materials. They also wanted to review the use of metal on accessory buildings and roofs. So Planning Commission did review those standards. They made a recommendation for an ordinance amendment, submitted it to council. On April the 13th at the council meeting, council asked that this item be tabled and requested that a task force committee be put together to review the regulations. There was a task force committee put together. It consisted of 9 members, and you can see a list of the members who served on the task force committee. They reviewed everything from the design and installation standards to what impact it would have on appraised values and insurance. On the appraised values, they talked to several appraisers. All the appraisers that they talked to said the metal roofs would not have an impact on the appraised value, either negative or positive. It would just not have an impact at all. As far as insurance rates, all the insurance companies they talked to stated that if it is a metal roof, and it has to be a certain gauge or certain thickness, but on a lot of the metal roofs, you could get a reduction in your insurance premium with a metal roof. One of the committee members also did a survey through a homeowners advocate association, and I'll ask him to come up and give the results of that survey when we get done here. They met several times over the past several months, and they are recommending an amendment to the ordinance. The first amendment would be to add subsection G to section 900804, residential design or residential district design standards. It'll state metal roofs within residential districts other than metal tile, metal shakes, or metal shingles shall comply with the following design standards. There is an exception. If you're zoned A, agricultural, RA, residential agricultural, or R5, mobile home, you're exempt from this requirement. First of all, it states that the metal panel shall overhang the roof system a minimum of 1 inch or a maximum of 3 inches. And metal roofs shall be trimmed, which will include ridge caps, flashing, gable trim, eave trim, guttering. So in other words, you can't just put the metal panels on the roof and be done with it. You have to have it completely trimmed. So it's a complete roof system. They've also specified the type of coating on the metal as long with the thickness. The thickness was the 26 gauge or Class 4 rating. The reason for the 26 gauge or the Class 4 rating is that is what the insurance required to get the reduced rate in insurance. Most roofs are the 26 gauge. Now there is some 29 gauge that also can meet the Class 4 rating. So 29 gauge would be allowed if it has that Class 4 rating. Without the Class 4 rating, it needs to be the 26 gauge. The metal panels are required to be attached by screws or fasteners, and in accordance with the manufacturer's specifications, you cannot use nails. So screws or fasteners. The roof cannot be in metal panels cannot be installed on roofs with pitches of 112 or less. The main reason for that, if you get the 112 or the flat roof, the metal will typically leak. So if you got that type of roof, you need to use some other type of roofing material. They also stated that the color of the metal panel shall be continuous throughout the entire roof and also the trim. So all the roof needs to be one color, all the trim needs to be one color. You can have a maximum of 2. The roof and trim can both be the same, but you can only have no more than 2 colors. The next change was a revision that was made to Section 90-1204 on-site development standards. On it, it states that the square footage of any detached structure shall not exceed 40% of the square footage of the principal building. Some of the other questions that came up before on the metal buildings where they were so large that you could see them, you'd see them and rather than the house because they were such a large structure. So on this, they reduced it down to where it cannot be more than 40% of the principal building. So if you had a 1,000 square foot house, basically you could build a 400 square foot garage or detached garage. Also that any detached structures got to have a hip or gable roof, minimum of 312 pitch, and a 1 foot overhang with a finished soffit material. Now, in addition to those requirements, if the accessory building is 120 square feet or larger and it has exterior metal finish, there's some additional requirements that you have to comply with. Again, the A agricultural, the RA residential agricultural, the R5 mobile home, and open carports that are open on 3 sides or more are exempt from the additional requirements. Those additional requirements are that on the accessory building, the sidewalls cannot be higher than 10 feet. Garage door cannot be exceed 9 feet in height. And the roof panels also have to be the 26 gauge or the Class 4 rating, the roof and wall panels. The last change to the regulations was definitions. We added definitions for both the prohibited and permitted material within Article 9 of the commercial district. There's basically been no change to those definitions from what you saw under the previous recommended ordinance amendment, but there were 16 definitions that was provided. There's a full copy of the ordinance that was in your packet. I'll be glad to answer any questions. And again, Curtis, who was one of the task force members who reviewed this, would like to go over the survey results. Be glad to answer any questions.
State your name and address.
My name is Curtis Tucker, and my address is 106 South Rounds, Fort Gibson, Oklahoma. And as far as the survey goes, Chairman and council members, I appreciate you allowing me to speak for a few moments. With Homeowner Advocates of Oklahoma, you know, our goal is to always have a voice for the homeowners and even business owners in our communities here. And so we put together a survey, and a pretty simple, short one. You know, we asked folks. We've got a copy of it here. One, how familiar are you with having your roof replaced? And we had them rate this on a 1 to 10 scale, so we kind of could gauge, you know, where their knowledge of roofing or roofing, you know, replacement was. How familiar are you with filing an insurance claim for your roof? How has your experience been in the roofing industry? And then the big questions, which we've got the results from these last 5 here, 4 of which will have results. It says, have you had your roof replaced or repaired? If so, when? And then in your neighborhood, would you prefer to see more metal roofs or traditional shingles? And then it says, what comes to mind when you think of metal roofs? And the majority of folks, when they on that question there, question 3, what comes to mind when you think of a metal roof? The majority of folks would put, you know, barn, something of that nature. And so I think that's something important to keep in mind when we get to a couple of these other slides where we're talking about preferences of roofs. And so when it says other, that could mean metal shake, cedar shake, or a metal tile. But the majority of when folks say metal, they're talking about an R panel or I can't think of the name now. Standing seam metal. There we go. And so one of the other questions was, what type of roof do you currently have? And then the last one, if you were to replace your roof today, what type of roof would you replace it with? And so when we move on to the results here, what type of roof do you currently have? You know, well over 50% of the people, and really around 80% of the people have an architectural or 3-tab asphalt or type of roof right now. You know, a very small portion of the folks that we surveyed actually had a metal roof, and so the majority of folks that we interviewed, they do currently have an asphalt roof. Have you had your roof replaced? 70% of the people that we surveyed have had their roof replaced. Only about 10% of them had some sort of repair or something of that nature, and then we had another 10% that have, or 20% that have never had any kind of work done whatsoever. When we go on to the next one, what type of roof would you prefer? If you were to replace your roof today, what roof would you prefer? And 50% of the folks said, they'd go back with what they had. And a big part of that, being cost, is that it's the most cost effective for them personally. Metal was more expensive. People would constantly comment about. Then you've got, 25% say that they would rather have a metal roof. And then you've got another 25% that said that they would like some other type of roof, whether it be a cedar shake or a metal shake or something of that nature. So pretty evenly split there. And then here we go, metal versus traditional shingles. In your neighborhood, would you prefer to see more metal roofs or traditional shingles? 20% of the people said they'd prefer to see more metal roofs. Because we pulled from all three different zip codes in Muskogee, and we had certain neighborhoods that we were asked to highlight, that we made sure that we called and walked through in our door knocking. Some of those neighborhoods have quite a few metal roofs as it is, and so to keep it uniform with what they have going on, obviously they'd like to see more metal roofs. It was only about 30%, 35% that said that they'd prefer to see an architectural shingle or a 3-tab type shingle in their neighborhood, and then 50% of the people said that they don't really have any preference whatsoever. If their neighbors wanted to go back with metal, wood, whatever the case may be, they really wouldn't care too much. And so that's what we found in our survey. And the task force, I believe, did a good job of coming up with some great guidelines. And of course, with us being the homeowner advocates, we wanted to see exactly what some of the homeowners thought. And so that's our take, and off of the 375 folks or so that we were able to speak with. And so if you all have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. If not, then I'm going to turn it back over to Gary, I believe, at this time.
Okay. With no one signed up to speak, we're going to close the public hearing. Discussion from council. I would like to take this time before I ask for roll call. I was on this committee, and when we first started, I had some guys come up to me and ask, well, you're putting a fox in front of the hen house to guard the hen house on this project, because you're having guys that sell metal roofs, install metal roofs, or metal buildings. And I kind of took that I started thinking about that with all the guys that we had on this committee. But after we met several times, a lot of the things in this ordinance that has changed, and the guidelines, the more stricter guidelines, are guidelines that they self-imposed on themselves. The no nails, the way you fasten it, the guttering system, all that, the trim, everything. These guys, the height requirements, I mean, some of this stuff we were like, we don't understand that. And then they come back and they go, well, you don't want this mammoth building behind a house, so you need to bring it down and shape it better. So if someone makes if you hear someone saying, well, you had all roofing guys do this and be on this committee and it benefits their business, they came in wanting to be able to install metal roofs in buildings in our community, which is a lot of communities have these, and they're beautiful buildings. We looked at several buildings that were really nice. But I will just want to commend this group of guys, these businessmen from Muskogee, how they came in and they actually took a very professional look at everything, and they could have went, no, we want it like this, and we should build this, be able to put this kind of roof on and this gauge of metal, and they didn't do that. They come in and said, we really want to increase these standards so it looks good, because if someone puts up a bad product in our product, then it looks bad on us too. So they put all these standards in, the height of the garage door, the height of the building, the pitch of the roof. They pretty much came up with all this. So I'm really pleased with the committee. If I ever have another thing like this, I would love to have these guys come back and help us again. So if there's any more questions or anything, I just wanted to say that this was a very good committee. They were very professional, and a lot of these these guidelines they imposed on themselves.
I'd move for approval.
Second.
Roll call?
Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Dan Hall?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Derek Reed?
Yes.
Mayor Coburn?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. Number 4.
Consider approval of amended Council Policy 3-3-3, vacation leave policy, or take other necessary action.
Kelly Epperson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. The revision policy 3-3-3 for the vacation is to clarify the application of who this policy will apply to. We want this policy to apply to all employees except who may be covered under a collective bargaining agreement, which includes all police or fire chiefs that were hired or promoted on or after July 1st, 2015. In addition to that, there was one modification changed while I was reviewing this policy. I did put in that vacation leave may not be used as a last day of employment. You have to physically work your last day of employment as a requirement under this policy. I'm happy to answer any questions if you may have, and I will recommend approval of this revised policy.
Any citizens signed up to? Nope. If no other.
That's for the next item.
Okay. You're killing me. Any motion?
Move the approval.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Dan Hall?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Derek Reed?
Yes.
Mayor Coburn?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. Any other agenda items?
No, sir.
Meeting adjourned.
MRA next, Roy.
Special call, I believe.
MRA, yes.
MRA.
Special call to last.
Okay.
Okay. We'll now call to order the special call meeting of the Muskogee Redevelopment Authority for August 4th, 2015, and roll call.
Mayor Bob Coburn?
Here.
Deputy Mayor James Scully? Dan Hall?
Yes.
Marlon Coleman?
Present.
Janie Boydston? Wayne Johnson?
Here.
Leanne Langston? Ivory Van? Derek Reed?
Here.
And we do have a quorum. Item number 1.
Consider approval of the Muskogee Redevelopment Authority minutes of April 13th, 2015.
Is there additions or corrections to the minutes? Otherwise, entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Dan Hall?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Derek Reed?
Yes.
Mayor Coburn?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 2.
Discuss and take action on a plan to repair 800 linear feet of 6th Street from Shawnee Bypass within the urban renewal area.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes, in your packet, there is a letter from 3RP Limited Partnership. If you go to almost the back part of that on the second page, the top paragraph, they actually suggest a method on how to repair 6th Street. This would be 800 feet from Shawnee Bypass back to the south. This would also include replacing a 30-inch storm sewer pipe that runs underneath it with a 48-inch. If you look at their suggestion, they suggest that we get Cook Consulting to come in and do some core drills, which we as staff met and agreed upon. That's the approved procedure that we'd like to follow. We'd need to get those core drills completed and then have a review of the core drills to actually know just exactly how much subgrade needs to be replaced. But we don't anticipate it being all that much. The street that's over there is substandard for the type traffic that's on it right now, and it's failing, but it's not failing to the point where it's got great concern on how much would need to be excavated. In my experience, I think that they'll go down several feet, come back with a select fill, and they'll be able to put a good subgrade in there. Replace that 30-inch storm sewer pipe. This is 800 feet of road replacement. And then our suggestion is that the city actually come in and put the blacktop on top of it. We are kind of stretched right now because of the weather that we've had in the past in our street operations. But what we're talking about is having a base that's ready, and the street department can go in there in one day and put that top on there if the base is ready to go. Would cut costs drastically, and that's the recommended method that we would like to see you approve. This will also come out of, and Roy, help me out, this is the redevelopment district funding, not out of a street budget.
This is part of the remaining $1.25 million public improvement loan that was taken out as part of the $6.55 million that the Muskogee Redevelopment Authority took out, which was guaranteed by the foundation, but which the loan was made by a consortium of banks.
So what we're actually asking for today is to allow, to approve the procedure, which is to allow the contractor to use the Cook Consultant to do the core drills, and then actually to go get 3 bid prices, and staff will review these too. City staff will review these. I think Mr. Root in our staff meeting actually suggested that, and I like that. We'll look those over, and then that will allow us to shorten this process down, get the sub-base put in, and then city staff will come in and put the street on top. I can't give you a definite dollar figure because I don't know till we get the core drills done. I'll answer any questions.
Mike, does this then become the permanent replacement street?
No,
or is this kind of a step in between the construction, the temporary street, so to speak, and then a permanent that would comply with the master plan later?
This will get a street in there that will be adequate enough to get business open in October. Mm-hmm. It could continue to be a sufficient street until development to the east comes along, and then at that point in time, then a more I think Class A, and I might have Class A street would be approved, which would be a concrete curb and guttered street. So this will get it open. It will be a temporary, but it could be a quite lengthy temporary till it expands.
Okay, question regarding going to a permanent street. And I haven't looked at the site plan, but I'm assuming there's more than one entrance, so we could then come back and put the permanent street without disrupting traffic 18 months from now or 24 months or whatever.
And all you'll end up doing is taking that top back off there. If that subgrade's put into standard, you're not really going to be expending funds at unnecessarily, because that base will be able to be used on the Class A street.
But can we come in and tear that street up then, and they'll still have another entrance that they can use to the side?
So this is just really a stepping stone to get where we're going.
Okay. Other questions, comments?
Move the approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Dan Hall?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Derek Reed?
Yes.
Mayor Coburn?
Yes, motion carries. That concludes our agenda for the Muskogee Redevelopment Authority. We'll now go to our special call meeting of the Muskogee City Council for August 4th, 2015. Roll call.
Mayor Bob Coburn.
Here.
Deputy Mayor James Gully. Dan Hall.
Present.
Marlon Coleman. Janie Boydston.
Here.
Wayne Johnson.
Here.
Leanne Langston. Ivory Van. Derek Reed.
Here.
Item number 1.
Consider approval of a professional services agreement with Retail Attractions, LLC, in the amount of $48,000 for fiscal year 2016, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. On January 27th, we met. We presented this agreement to the City Council for ratification. We had a couple of members express that they need additional time to review this matter. Our goal and our intent is to place this before you tonight for final approval. Subject to that concludes my presentation.
Is there question or comment regarding this proposal?
I was asked to check into one thing. There's a $1,000, I guess, increase where we're taking away travel expenses from Mr. Hayes. What was that difference? How does that difference balance out?
Well, we during the negotiation process, we started out with meet us in the middle, those kinds of things. And this is what we came up with. It excludes all the expenses associated with travel and that type of thing. And that's what we came up with.
Is your question, what's the net difference between the two?
Is there a loss, is there a gain when we look at that $1,000 increase?
I mean, what have the expenses been over the different months?
Well, I would say that it's a lump sum contract. And I don't have that information in terms of
You don't
what his
know about
expenses.
what kind of expenses he claimed?
Gene, do you have a number that would be kind of an approximate number? I know you're scampering there quickly to look one up. Okay. Is there other comments or questions while she's looking that up?
I was just curious if this was a raise or not.
Yeah, it's a raise. I mean, it's de facto raise.
Roy, I
Is this
just need
more expensive than the old way or
Yeah,
less?
this contract has an increased lump sum price as opposed to the previous agreement that we had with Mr.
Well, I knew that, but I didn't know what the expenses had been.
Yeah, I don't know the exact expenses. I'd have to defer to Jean. I know she's looking at it right now.
I know Miss Langston had some questions. Did she get the information that she required before we did this? Because I didn't know this was, I think we kind of all thought it was coming back like for city council meeting. I didn't know we were coming back this quick with it.
I'll have to, I don't remember.
I think what she had
Langston's.
said was she just wanted more time to review it. I don't know that she said she had a specific question.
Okay.
Roy, is there, I mean, I looked over the contract, but I think the one thing that's desperately needed is that we got communications. I mean, we got a new RB department. Is there sufficient language in there to make sure, I mean, you can't make sure that two people are communicating, but is there sufficient language in the contract to make sure that we've got a good communication channel going?
Yes, and the language that was proposed in this contract was the city's language. Mr. Hayes did not make any modifications to that at all. So the language that we wanted, we put in there, and it was accepted in the final draft.
Okay.
Jean, you got something?
Yes, ma'am.
The lump sum amount of his expenses. He's never claimed them. Okay.
Okay.
But he could claim them, but he never did. Is that, okay.
Is there other comments or questions? Entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Get a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Janie Boydston,
Yes.
Dan Hall,
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes. Motion carries. Was that our only agenda item? That concludes our agenda for the special call council meeting. Thank you.